think people have to decide right now that being an influencer is just a function of you as a business. And you're creating a brand within a business. And part of the brand is that there is an influencer driving the brand. So I think people have it all jacked up. I think everyone wants to be an influencer and have cute Instagram photos, but they're broke. They're not making any money.
Welcome to Empowerista, a show dedicated to helping you show up and be seen as an entrepreneur. I'm your host, Alex Worley, the CEO of Empowerista, an award-winning producer and national TV host, seen on platforms like entrepreneur.com, Amazon Prime, and Business Rockstars. These are the tips and truths to amplify your influence and income. My guest today is Aprille Franks, the CEO of Domination Nation and a two-time best-selling author. Her entrepreneurial journey began when she was pushed out of a job and found herself broke. She turned her drive and skills into more than $17,000 worth of profit within 37 days. And since, her business model has evolved once she began building her personal brand and responding to what her audience was asking from her. Today, this includes helping thousands of experts, speakers, and influencers turn their passions into profits. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. It's been so much fun to follow your entrepreneurial journey because we go way back.
Way back.
And you've been a successful entrepreneur for a while, but obviously it's evolved into multiple businesses.
Yes.
And you've really been the face of your brand, so it's been fun to keep up with you. Why don't we get everybody else up to speed?
Yeah.
And if you want to give them an overview of your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, so an overview, that's a steep order. I would say primarily my whole role really is to help women evolve in their business so that they can have a better life, whatever that looks like, so that they can be happier contributors to their own development, to their own households, to their communities, and in a nutshell. So we help people.
That's your mission.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so when you first started as an entrepreneur, I read that you made $17,000 or more than $17,000 in your first 37 days, which for anyone watching and listening, that's not normal. So if that's not you, don't feel shame. That's obviously quite extraordinary. So tell me about that. You obviously were a natural entrepreneur. How did you figure out how to make money so quickly?
You know what's funny about that? It's amazing what growth looks like, because I think now we couldn't even live off $17,000 now. And when I look back on it, how that happened was I went bankrupt. I lost my job. Well, I lost the job, then went bankrupt. I lost my house. And all this was happening in 2007, 2008. And I basically answered a Craigslist ad that was looking for someone to do the exact same things that I had been doing in the job I just got fired from. And so as a result of that, I talked myself into the job, into the contract, and I killed it. And literally, I made that money doing the same thing I was making $3,000 a month for previously.
But now it was in more of a freelance capacity.
Yeah, I was
so you were
a freelancer.
able to make more money.
Cut out the middleman. Everything was going directly to me. I dealt directly with the person writing the check, and literally accelerated from there. And from there, I went to do even more, and I made $189,000 that next year working with the same contract. So it's been really phenomenal. And now our whole goal is really just to strive and help women make more money, because I believe more money means more options. And I think that a lot of women are unhappy in their lives because they can't do all the things that they really want to do. And entrepreneurship is a really fun way to make that happen.
Yeah, because for you were working for somebody else. You had all these skills to be able to do it on your own. Mm-hmm. And once you were kind of pushed to do it on your own, all of a sudden you didn't have a ceiling anymore.
There isn't a ceiling. And I was definitely pushed, shoved right out the door, off the ledge. And I had nothing. I literally started my entrepreneurial journey that time, because of course I tried plenty times before, but that time I tried, and I was like, this is going to work. But when I started, I literally had $60 to my name. Like I had
Wow.
$60 to my
And
name.
you said in debt?
And I was in debt, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
who wasn't? Who's not? So
Yeah.
yeah, I was definitely. But I had $60 I'll never forget. And that next week, my first check that I got was $2,500, and I was like, "Oh my God, I have $2,500." And then the next week it was 5,000, and then I couldn't believe that it was happening.
Wow. So do you think part of the reason that you were able to grow so quickly was because of that hunger and necessity of like, I don't have this job to lean on anymore. I have to make it happen?
Yeah, definitely a mindset that, I mean, because what other options would there have been? At that time, I was a single parent. My daughter was about 8 years old. So, I mean, it's either sink or swim. And I had to realize too, and stop feeling sorry for myself, because before I took that contract, so between getting fired and the contract, I had 6 months period of feeling sorry for myself. Why can't I find another job making the money I was making? Why isn't this panning out for me? So I was kind of going down this whole woe is me, life sucks and I shouldn't have got fired train. And then one day I was like, you know what? You got to get your ish together. Like, this is your life. You got to take the what do they call it? The bull by the horns, and you got to pull yourself up and make something happen, because if those people were paying me and I was so great there, then surely I could be great doing something else.
And I think that's a good place that an entrepreneur could start. If they're wanting to start a business, they're currently working for somebody else, what skill are you currently getting paid for that you're really good at?
Yeah.
That if you were to go out on your own, you could monetize it and, like you said, cut out the middleman and therefore make even more money.
Make even more. And then too, it's also about personal fulfillment, because the money is great. And listen, as a business coach, I'm all about how clients can make money. But also it's about the fulfillment. So taking those skills and parlaying them. And I think a tip that I will give an entrepreneur or someone thinking about it would be, don't be so married to whatever you decide today. Don't be so married to whatever that skill is. That may last you a year just to get you enough capital to do something else. Because I think people are so concerned with knowing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, knowing,
what's their big higher purpose? And it's this big mystical thing.
Yeah, it's like, calm down.
Yeah, just like look at what's in front of you. Like,
yeah.
What can you do today? And
exactly.
Sometimes it does come from a place of necessity, and that's okay.
Yes.
If you have to pay your bills this month, asking yourself, okay, what business model can I create to pay my bills this month?
Yeah.
And then it can totally evolve from there, because entrepreneurship is flexible.
It is flexible. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit then about how your business has evolved. So we were just talking about how entrepreneurship is flexible. That's how you started. How did you evolve into what your business is today?
So from there, so here I am. So that specific contract, I was leasing up apartments, believe it or not. Like, that's what I was doing. I was leasing apartments.
Wow.
And getting paid 1 month's rent for every apartment leased. So if your rent was $750, I'd get $750. If it was $2,000, I'd get $2,000. And so I go from that to, I hired a career coach, actually, for $189. I had a session with a woman. Her name is Monique. And after the session, she was like, you should be doing this, and this. Based on what you told me about your passions and your skills, these are the things you should be doing. And so that coach really helped me start. And I started with a book, and I wrote my first book in 2011. And
so that was kind of your first intro to creating your personal brand.
Absolutely, it was. It was absolutely the first intro. Writing the memoir, which is Confessions of an Independent Woman: Truth, Lies, and Relationships. Wrote it way back, and people started asking me about speaking and, hey, I want to write a book. And so I created a book course to teach other people how to write books. That's not what I do, but I did it, 22 video modules later, sold a ton of them. And then people would say, well, I want to create a personal brand. And then because I was active on social media, listen, social media is the bomb. Like,
it's been a game changer.
I mean, it helped me retire my mom in 2018. Like, I retired my mother in 2018 from a job she worked at for 25 years.
And you're saying from social media. So what do you mean? What about social media allowed you to monetize in order to retire your mom?
Well, social media gave me the platform in order to monetize, absolutely, because all of our clients come from social media.
Got it.
So all of our clients come from social media. 95% of them come from Facebook. A few of them come from Instagram. They used to come from YouTube, but I'm not much of a YouTuber these days. However, that could change. And so from there, people started asking me, and then organizations started contacting me. And I started doing some stuff with the media, which is how I met you. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the beginning. And I just kept going. And then people were like, but I want to build a business and make money. So I took the skills where I was making the money in the contract that I first started, right, and doing the real estate and leasing up these apartments. I took those skills, and that's how I help entrepreneurs make money today. I basically took the same skills where we're helping multi-million-dollar real estate investment owners cash flow their properties. I take those same skills and help people today monetize their personal brands.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about off air how back in the day it was very much so, don't bring your personal life into your
Leave yourself
your job.
at home.
Leave yourself at home.
But bring yourself.
Yeah. But now it's the opposite, where you can literally make a business being yourself.
Yes.
And you're a great example of that. I mean, really, at the end of the day, yes, you have multiple businesses, but you are in the Aprille Franks business of at the end of the day, you're the face of all these different companies. And I think what's great and a wonderful lesson is to just pay attention to, as you build this personal brand and this audience that comes with it, what are people coming to you for?
Yeah.
So you wrote the book, you were becoming active on social media, but then you were really listening to your audience and what they wanted from you.
Yes.
And that's where the monetization happens.
That is exactly where, because let me tell you, I always joke around with my tribe. I'm like, I never wanted to coach y'all. Like, this wasn't a part of the plan. I just wanted to write my book, tell my story, be online, have a few videos. But it really did come from them asking. And that's truly how we create products and programs, and how we create sessions at our live events. That's how we do it now, based on people's needs, because that's what we're here to do. I'm here to serve them. Without providing solutions to the challenges that they're having, then they have no need for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let's dive into that, because there are a lot of entrepreneurs who would love to be themselves for a living.
Yeah.
And they would love to inspire and motivate people and just talk about what they're passionate about. But I think sometimes people do fall into the trap of, okay, but I don't know how to package that into a product or service and the monetization piece. And so what advice would you give to an entrepreneur when it comes to, okay, if you're going to be yourself, this is how you ultimately turn your passion into profits?
I think first of all, that's a great question. And I think people have to decide right now that being an influencer is just a function of you as a business. And you're creating a brand within a business. And part of the brand is that there is an influencer driving the brand. So I think people have it all jacked up. I think everyone wants to be an influencer and have cute Instagram photos, but they're broke. They're not making any money.
A lot of the times that's the case.
And I know it is, because I talk to them all the time. And I feel like it's an unnecessary path, because people are attracted to shiny objects, and everyone wants to be liked and, admired and all those things. But I would say, first, think about what is your real business model. And even if it is around motivation or empowerment, what is the culture you're creating around the brand you're building for the tribe you're looking to attract? You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, what does that look like? And once you decide what is that you're creating, then we can start to monetize it. So even if it's a motivational brand, or I don't call them motivational brands, I call them lifestyle brands. Mm-hmm. So even if it's a lifestyle brand, what is the culture? Can people wear it? Can they talk about it? Can they share it? Like, how can they share the culture? So even if it's swag or what have you, for you to get started. And then what furthers the culture, right? So how do we then go from wearing it to then being transformed by it? And so that may look like live events or workshops. That could look like programs or services. It could look like workbooks or programs. So you can easily turn a lifestyle brand, in my opinion, into a monetizable brand when you go into it understanding that it is a business first, a brand second, and you're the influencer third.
As you alluded to, being an influencer is just a way kind of to promote the business.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people get it the other way around. And it's not even bad if it goes in this order. Some people will grow the influence and the brand first.
Sure.
Which takes a lot of work.
It
so
does.
Credit to these
It
people.
does.
And then they go, okay, but this isn't making me money.
Exactly.
What product or service can I add?
I need to sell something.
And whatever direction you go, whether you start with the product and service and then want to become an influencer or vice versa, the most important thing is understanding, okay, what is a it's something that I can monetize, like a problem that my community has.
Yes.
I have the solution, and they're willing to pay for that.
Period.
Yeah.
And I think you're right from the standpoint of, because people have the opposite challenge on the other side. They may have the business plan, but then they have no people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what we're saying is, and what I'm certainly saying is, think about the business. How are you going to make money? Because at the end of the day, business is about commerce. It's about an equal exchange of value. Value for whatever you're offering and someone paying you for it. And I think when people go into it looking at it that way, then I think they win.
Yeah, and let's talk more about that mindset, that money mindset in particular, because it reminds me of what you said earlier, and that is money gives you options.
It does.
Money gives you options, and it's an equal exchange.
Yes.
But I think sometimes people can get in that victim mentality, or maybe even it's not feeling good enough to be a part of that equal exchange.
Yeah.
So what can you tell entrepreneurs when it comes to actually that there's no shame in going for the money component?
Yeah, especially women, right? Especially women. I think women are so guilted into wanting to make money. Like, we have to apologize for it, or we have to qualify the statement first that you're helping people. It's like, F that. Okay, of course you're helping people, right? That's okay. So slide helping people off the whole shelf. Let's talk about how you're going to be a businesswoman and how you're going to make money. And for anyone that's feeling shame or feeling like I may not be good enough or I may not have enough, listen, I dropped out of high school in the 12th grade. The first day of my 12th grade year, I don't have a college diploma, and I never went and got my GED. Literally. And I still am in the top 1% of income earners in the country. It doesn't matter. I grew up in a crazy household. My father was an alcoholic. Love him. You know, there was a lot of abuse in my family. So it doesn't really matter where you came from, how you're feeling about yourself. You can still connect with people just like you that are spreading, you know, more positive messages, and you can transform your whole life. So the mindset piece is everything. And I think what women need to know especially is that at any point, you can take responsibility for what you want your life to look like. And you don't need any money to do that. You can wake up with a new decision. And the beautiful thing about our world today, I'm 43 years old as of today, right now, is we have Google. We have places where you can go. They can continue to follow this program. They can follow other people that can help them. And there's so many stories of people out there.
You can figure anything out.
You can do it. Yes, you can hire a coach. You can have a mentor. You can model someone you admire. You know, for me, there's just no excuse good enough not to live your best life.
I love that.
You know what I'm saying?
So
it's just no excuse. It's like, because then what are the alternatives? Then you're just kind of mediocrely, I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I'm saying.
I like it. It's good. It should be.
You know, you're just kind of out here kind of just flying below the radar, pretending to not be great.
And you're not helping anyone doing that. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping anyone in your life. Like, I think sometimes people feel like it's selfish to be your best self because it does require a lot of inward focus.
It does.
But actually, the bigger you become, the more you have to give. And it goes back to that exchange of, you know, a lot of times people want to qualify like, oh, but I'm helping people. Well, of course, like that's the exchange, right? Like the exchange is you help them, and in return, they pay for that.
They
help.
should, right? It's because what happens is, Alex, people start to get, especially entrepreneurs, they start to resent their gift. They start to resent their business. They start to resent what they built because because people aren't paying them. But people aren't paying them because they aren't demanding to be paid.
Yeah.
So it's really no one's fault. So then they start internalizing the fact that they're angry that, people are following them and they're not clicking the button, or there's no button to click. So it really does take, if you want to be a business person, it really does take an immense amount of personal development and growing up to really navigate these waters, which is a process.
And by treating your service as a business, it goes from just being something that you volunteer for on the side, that maybe you just put a couple hours towards per week, to all of a sudden this is what sustains you, so you can put all of your time toward it. And then it not only sustains you, you're doing what you love with your time, but then also you can give that much more.
Yeah.
So there's that perspective as well.
Absolutely. And speaking of time, I think time is one of those things that I didn't really recognize that was going to be so attractive to me, right? So remember, I got fired in 2007. I thought I was the bomb.com, got fired. I was broke, busted, and disgusted. I don't know whose phrase that is, but whoever it is.
Thank you.
It was someone's phrase. And I remember saying to myself, this cannot be all there is. But I was so just down on myself and so not even the person that's sitting here today, And so that's how I know that we can transform and do all these amazing things.
What do you think it was that allowed you to have that mental shift of believing it was possible, believing you were worth it?
Watching other people.
Yeah.
One of the first coaching programs I bought, I was laying in the bed or wherever, and Carlton Sheets used to create, he had this course called No Money Down, and he would teach you how to buy a house with no money down. And it was one of those infomercials that came on like in the middle of the night. And it was $2,500. I bought it. I was on a payment plan. Bought it, got it, did it, bought my first house with no money down. And this was before I lost everything. And so just seeing that, I knew that there was a way. You know what I'm saying? I was like, if this is possible for these people, surely. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
sometimes we just need to see it.
Yeah. I'm like, surely, because no one in my family had been super successful. I mean, my dad was in the military, so thank you to all the veterans, right? But he wasn't making a lot of money. There weren't any entrepreneurs. My mom, she mostly stayed at home, but she worked some jobs. But I didn't really have that. So I think one of the things people have to do is seek. There's no excuse. It's free to seek. It's free to look for. It's free to get on YouTube. How do you, whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah.
It's free. And so you got to be a seeker. You can't just sit there and piddle in your life.
Yeah. You know that quote, like, you're the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with? I'm forgetting who said that quote, so forgive me on that, but it's a great one. And I was thinking about, actually this morning, as I was driving into the studio, I was listening to a podcast, and I was like, I listen to this podcast so much that this podcast is like one of the 5 people. You know what I mean? And nowadays, even if you're in a community where nobody else is an entrepreneur and you aren't getting that fix from the literal closest 5 people in your life, now we have access to the entire world and all these different mindsets and information. So if you have to have mentors that don't exist within your community, how can you have like a digital community that can expand the way you think? It really can change your life.
It has changed. And like our online community is on Facebook, Domination Nation. And literally, I mean, I can't even believe it, honestly. Like some of the things that people say about our brand and about me that I've never met, and I've met people that literally have cried on site. And it's like, you can really impact people because you don't even know what people are experiencing in their everyday life. You know what I mean? And sometimes what you say or what you share, it can make all the difference in somebody else's life. And that is a big deal. So, there's so many things. I just feel like there's no excuse anymore to be unhappy and broke.
And especially impactful coming from someone like you that has been through a lot, and in particular, a lot in 2018. And I want to talk about this because, and I'll let you expand, but you went through a divorce, you moved across the country, you had multiple deaths in your family, were sick, went through surgery. I mean, gosh, like everything that could happen, it sounds like happened in 2018 to you.
Yeah, it did.
But yet your business was still growing.
It was.
And a lot of people would have used those as excuses, and not not to say everyone's entitled to take a step back to
Sure.
relax, so I'm not trying to discredit that, but tell me about that time.
Sure.
And how you were able to keep going.
Yeah, sure. So probably in 2017, maybe even 16, I was kind of entering a fog because we knew my father was dying. My father had cancer. He also was an amputee. And so I was kind of in a fog. And what that, I don't know if you know what that is. It's like you can't think. It's when you sit down at the computer, you're super intellectual, you're smart, you know what needs to be done, but you do nothing. And you look up and it's been 6 hours and you've gotten not one thing on your list of things done. And so I was entering into this fog space. And so as time progressed and we ended up in 2018, I knew my father was going to die. Like I knew it at the end of 2017 when I looked at him, I could tell. And when my father passed, that was really a very pivotal moment for me because me and my father, we had made amends. We had a great relationship. He's like my best friend. I talk to him every day. And what I realized was that you better, can we curse here? No? Okay,
no,
so
no.
you better effing live. You better live your life. And that's what I learned from my dad that year. So that year in 2018, my cousin died first. My dad died next. And from my dad's life, I just took that you better live. You better not, if your end of your life looks like suffering, which none of us know if it will or not. We don't know if we'll have cancer or we'll get killed some other kind of way or we'll die of old age. But whatever it is, you don't want to be regretting anything. And that's really what I took from his life and his death. My father died on his 67th birthday. And after that, my granddaughter was born. 20 days after my father died. And after that, I hope I don't cry. My
okay
cousin,
if you do. It's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, feel free to take a second.
My aunt died suddenly. And then one of my business colleagues died. And so it was 5 people then that had died, by the summer. And I was like, you know what? I better live. I better do all the things. So let me file this divorce. Let me move. Let me have this booty surgery. I got a new butt. You're welcome. Let me get this liposuction. Let me do whatever it is that I want to do. Let me start my own healing process. Let me do all of that. And in the midst of that, I have a team. So I'm not in business by myself. So I can't take all the credit for my success because I wouldn't be where I am without all of the support that I have. And that's really what made the difference. And that's what helped us stay and keep the trajectory to making more money than we had. And we really didn't skip a beat. And because I am embedded in the brand and I am the face, my tribe was super amazing and sympathetic and just kind.
Did you take them on that journey with you?
Oh, they knew my dad.
Yeah.
I mean, they came to the funeral. I mean, I had people, that's what I'm saying. That's what people don't understand. It's not just Facebook. It's not just Instagram. These are real lives. I had people sending us things. I had people checking on my mother. I had people praying for us, and I didn't have to ask them to do that. But because I am a part of their lives every day, and I've taken them on this journey with me, they were just kind enough. And that's, I think, what's so great about the way we can do business now is you can be you and you can involve people in the things that you're comfortable sharing. So whether it's your parents or your kids or your dog or your relationship or your travels or whatever your hobbies are, then you should do it. And hire a coach so you can make money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you should do it and just be happy. Like, life is really short. And I watched a lot of people die, and it's not okay to not live the highest expression of the life that you could possibly live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for so vulnerably sharing that.
Yeah.
And you're an inspiration that you were able to overcome so much heartache in 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
But indirectly, what a gift that you were able to really, really learn, like, I've got one life.
Yeah.
I want to live it to the fullest.
Yeah.
And then what a blessing that you had a team in
Yeah,
place that
absolutely.
you could continue to help you moving forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I needed that time too. I don't regret any of it. And I think that everything happens the way that it should be happening. And it was I had an option. I could woe is me 2018, or I could be empowered by 2018. And 2018 empowered me, and we made more money in 2019 than we had ever made. And we impacted more people than we had ever impacted. And I just remember, I literally promised my dad on his deathbed, because my father died at home, and I promised him that I would take care of things. And I am.
That's so beautiful, and the
Yeah.
perfect note to end on. And if people want to keep up with you, where can they find you?
People can find me primarily, literally on Facebook in my group, Domination Nation. Or you can always go to epicinvegas.com and you can see me in Vegas.
Awesome. Aprille, thank you so much.
Thanks.